Hello, this is Eric Riney from Webster University coming to you again with another marketing analytics procedure. In today's video, we're going to be discussing bundle pricing. Okay, now that we've discussed bundle pricing, I'm taking you over to Excel and we're going to work various problems using bundle analytics. So the first thing I want to do is kind of do a checklist of the things you need to think about when you're putting together your analytical worksheet that you'll need as you try to produce results. So the first thing is that, of course, we need a reservation price. And as I mentioned, the reservation price is simply the value, the perceived value a customer has for a particular offering. It's how much they're willing to pay for an offering. And if you go over that in terms of your pricing, then more than likely they're not going to buy it because they don't see the value in it. So, for example, I love Rolexes. I would love to have a Rolex. Rolexes cost like $10,000. And while I see the value of a Rolex in terms of it making me look prestigious, I can't afford $10,000. There's not that much value in a Rolex watch for me. So my reservation price, though it's valuable, is much lower than $10,000. And so I would not make that purchase. All right. The second thing that we will be doing is that in many of these examples, we have to create bundles from the offerings that are available. So we'll be given components or the constituents that we could bundle together, those offerings that we could bundle together, we'll have to create those bundles. The third thing is that, of course, we'll have to come up with a price in order to do anything in terms of revenue or demand. We have to have a price point that we use. From that, then we can determine if there is a surplus or deficit in the reservation price. In other words, is there value that is left over from the reservation price once a person has purchased something. So if I have a reservation price of $7 and something costs $10, then I am actually losing or have a deficit of $3 if I pay $10 for whatever I feel I should only pay $7 for. I am going to select things that provide me with either a surplus, if possible, or at least I don't have a deficit. So if there is a zero reservation price, difference between reservation price and the price that's being offered. All right. From there, we can determine the individual revenue and then eventually the total revenue. Hopefully this will make more sense to you as we go through some examples. So let's take a look at the first example I have. This first example, it gives you 3 different offerings for, let's say it's a cable company, and it provides reservation prices for each one of these services. So we have internet, TV, and cell phone. And so for this first person, they're willing to pay $3.50 for internet, $7 for TV, and $3.50 for cell phones. All right. So what we want to do now is try to figure out, okay, should we sell these as a bundle or should we sell these simply as components, pure components, sell them individually? If we sell them at bundles, what kind of bundles should we sell them at? So the first thing I'm going to do in order to do a comparison is I just want to try to come up with the best price point to see what the best or what the maximum revenue would be at the optimal price point if we sold these separately. All right. And in this case, we don't have costs, so we can't do profit maximization. We only have the possibility of setting a price and obtaining revenue. So in this case, we're going to maximize revenue. So how do we go about doing this? Well, we have these three offerings. We're not going to bundle this right now. So all I'm going to do right here, I'm going to enter just to have a little bit of space in here. So what I'm going to do is just set a price point for each one of these. And I always like to start with $1 in terms of my arbitrary starting off price. And I'm going to highlight this in nice little yellow color that lets me know this is something that I'm going to be trying to use Solver to solve for. Now, what I need to do is figure out, okay, based on the price, what is their surplus or deficit for each one of these people, all right? So I'm just going to copy this header over, and let's extend this a little bit. Let's do this for all of these because I'm going to be using more of these columns. And let's change this from customer reservation price to surplus and deficit price. All right, so again, what I want to do is figure out, based on the price for this customer, would they purchase this? Is there a surplus or deficit? And would they purchase based off of this price? So what I'm going to do is simply take their reservation price minus the price that I'm saying I want to charge for this. All right, and I'm going to do this for each one of these. So what I want to do is I want to lock this in so that as I move down from row to row, I want the row for the price to remain the same. All right, but I want to move over from column B to column C to column D. So I'm locking in the row number. And as you can see here, this person's reservation price was $3.50. If we sold this at $1, then they would have a surplus of value of $2.50. More than likely, they would purchase this product because there is value that's being obtained here. Okay, if I were to change this to $7, we see there's a deficit of $3.50 in their reservation price. So more than likely, they probably would not purchase this at $7. Okay, so I'm going to copy this across just to make sure this is working. It looks like it's working. If I were to change this to $3, if this changed to $4, so 7 minus 3 gives me $4 in a surplus. I'm just going to change this one to $2. And everything looks like it's working fine. So I'm going to copy this on down. All right. And what I like to do, just so I know the different sections and I can easily see what the different sections are, is that I like to highlight the different sections with different colors. That way, this reservation price is a different color than the surplus deficit. All right, so now I know how much is left over based on particular prices. Now what I need to do is make a determination if these individuals are going to purchase the product or not, the offering. All right. The assumption here is that since we're only offering these separately, they can purchase one or more of any given offering. So I'm going to make the assumption that if there is not a negative, no deficit in the reservation price, then we'll assume that it's worthy of them to purchase it, and they will purchase it. All right. So here I'm going to call this, let's call it choice. All right. So it's the choice they're making to purchase or not to purchase. All right. Again, at $7 for the internet, with this person having a reservation price of $3.50, there is a deficit in their reservation of negative 350, which means they would not purchase this. So here, what I want to happen is I want to get the price for the service, but only if there is value that the customer is realizing, all right? Or I'll say there is no deficit that the customer is realizing on the offering. So what we would do is say equals if this calculation is not negative, and I'm just going to say here, if this is less than 0, right? If it's negative, give me 0. In other words, they're not going to purchase it, so just give me 0. Or if this is not true, that means it's positive, give me the price they're willing to pay. All right? And let's just format this so that's $1. And you see here that since this is negative, they're not willing to purchase it. So it in fact would be 0. In other words, I'm not making any kind of revenue off of this person. And I'm going to change this. Let's change this to revenue. That way you'll know that this is a revenue calculation. All right. I'm going to copy this across and let's see if it works. All right, so this person is realizing a surplus of value of $4. They're willing to pay $7 for TV. Right now, at this price of $3, they're realizing a surplus of $4. So that means if we charge them the $3 for this TV, we would get $3. They would purchase it. They're willing to pay up to $7. Right now, we're leaving money on the table. We should be charging $7 in order to get all the money from this person, but they're willing to pay. So if I were to change this to $7, you still see that they're willing to pay their reservation price. There's no deficit. So they're still willing to pay up to $7. So we would make $7 on this person. All right. Same thing for the cell phone. We're charging $2. The person is willing to pay up to $3.50. For that reason, there is a surplus in their value obtained. Thus, they will pay the $2 for the cell phone. So for this person, based off of these prices I've just arbitrarily put in here of $7, $7, and $2 for the internet, TV, and cell phone, we would make no money on the internet. They wouldn't purchase that, but they would purchase the TV and the cell phone. Thus, they would realize a total revenue for this individual, I'm just summing these up, of $9. Okay. All right, so I am now going to copy this all the way down. Okay, looks like we did something wrong here. Usually when you see things like this, it means we didn't lock something in. So let's go back up here to the top and see what we didn't do right. So we need to lock in this row, right? We don't want this row to travel down, and that's what's happening. It's traveling down. So we want this B3 to be locked in for the row. All right, I'm going to copy this across again. And then let's copy this down. There we go. Now it seems to be working well. So we can kind of check this. Down here, this person doesn't want internet at all. They see no value in internet. So no matter what we would charge for internet, they're not going to purchase it. There's this deficit in the value that would be realized. Thus, we're not going to make any money off of internet from them. But you do see that with the TV, they see that's worth $7, and thus we would make $7 off of them, assuming they would purchase the TV, and we would make $9 off of this person. Okay, so let's highlight this whole, and let's highlight this in a different color. I could use the same color, but let's do it this way. All right, so now I can do total revenue. All right, total revenue is just going to be the sum of the individual revenues. All right, so let's bold this up here. Total revenue. All right, equals sum. Come down here. All right, so our total revenue at these price points of $7, $7, and $2 is going to be $1,060. All right, I'm going to, because I want to maximize this in Solver. So now what we want Solver to do is figure out what would be our optimal price point for each one of these. All right, so let's go up to Data, Solver. We want to maximize total revenue. Remember, we're doing revenue here and not profit. And we're going to change these 3 price points. We're going to put a constraint in here. We're going to set the price point. We don't want the price point to go over, let's say, $200. I doubt it'll go that high, but so less than or equal to $200. We could put a lower price point. Let's say if we don't want these, maybe we know the costs associated with providing these, and we don't want the cost to go below that point. We could set that. All right, I'm going to hit OK. So one of the things is in this marketing analytic procedure using Solver, we're going to use evolutionary. We have nonlinear and evolutionary. So if you have functions or formulas in your Excel analytics work page that use if statements or things like that, then it's suggested that you use the evolutionary function. I'm also going to constrain things to non-negatives. I don't want any negatives. I want all positives. So let's hit solve and see what happens. Okay, this is going to be running for a minute, so I'm going to pause the video until it comes up with the solution. All right, so it hasn't converged on its final solution yet. Instead, what it's done is it's reached its maximum feasible solutions. And what this says is that, hey, I can continue running multiple iterations to come up with something better, but I've reached the maximum time that was allotted, and there is a default time and default number of iterations that Solver does. So we could either stop at this point or continue. I'm just going to stop. And it says here that I stopped this. It doesn't say that it found the ultimate solution. So we could say that these are good prices, but these may not be the best prices for us. But at this point, what we can say is that for internet, TV, and cell phone, we can come up with a somewhat optimal price point of $20.65, $34.65, $27.65 for a total revenue of $3,359.63. All right. So what I'm going to do, because I want to compare this to us doing a mixed bundle, and if we were to bundle these, could we actually increase the revenue potential? All right, so I'm just going to put up here we'll say component. If I can spell correctly. And my component is going to be $3,359.63. All right. So that's what I'm going to get. I'll probably be able to get more if I were to let this run, but let's just assume this is what we were gonna get. All right. Now what I want to do is compare this pure component set of prices to us actually doing some bundles. What I'm going to do is come in here and insert, because I need to create some bundles in here now. And you could create multiple bundles, and let's say I'm going to create, I'll insert a few more. I want to try to create as many bundles as there are available in terms of offerings. So internet plus TV would be one, internet plus cell phone would be one, TV plus cell phone would be one, and then a full bundle would be one. All right. So here we're just going to say internet plus TV. Here we'll say internet plus cell. Here we'll say TV plus cell. And then here we'll say full, which means all of them. All right, we can delete this one. We don't need that one. Now, one of the things we're going to assume is that the bundle reservation price is going to be the sum of the reservation prices of each of the components. In some cases, you will see where we'll discount a little bit for the bundle. And sometimes there's a perception that people should get the bundle for less than they would pay for the two individual products. So in some cases you may discount the bundle price, maybe sum the reservation prices and then discount by maybe 5% or something like that. But in this case, we're going to just do it at the bundle price. I'm sorry, at the reservation price summed. So equals, in this case, we're doing internet plus TV. So this would be the bundle price, reservation price is $7 plus $3.50. That gives us $10.50. Here it would be the internet plus TV, plus cell, and that gives us $7, $3.50 plus $3.50. Here, this is TV plus cell, that gives us $10.50 again. And then the full would be the sum of these three. All right. And I'm just going to copy this down. And so we have the reservation prices of all of our individual products as well as our various bundles that we could have. I'm going to change these back to $1 for right now. All right. So now we have to do the surplus for our bundles as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bundles. I'm going to insert in here 4 columns. And let's merge this across. And let's just copy these here. Okay. So, similar to what we did over here, we should just be able to copy this all the way across. And hopefully it works. It looks like it is working. Our full reservation price for this person is $14 minus $1 gives us $13. $10.50 minus 1 gives us $9.50. Yes, it looks like it's working properly. So now we can copy this all the way down. right, let's try this instead. Copy this all the way down. In case you guys are not aware of this trick, a little handy dandy trick you can do to copy a cell or row all the way down is highlight what you want to copy down. If you hover your cursor over the bottom portion of what you've highlighted, there's a little square that you see. If you hover over that, your cursor turns into like crosshairs, and you can use that. You can drag down by holding down your shift or holding down your tab key and dragging down if you wanted to, or you could just right mouse click 2 times and it'll go all the way down. So what it's done is it's carried this all the way down. It's copied it all the way down to the end of your data. So that's just a really handy dandy tool that you could use. Okay, so now we have our surplus for everything. Now we have to do our revenue for everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert. Again, let's do this. All right. One of the things I'm going to go back a little bit here and talk about this, because we may not necessarily need to do it this way. I mean, we can do it this way, but thinking this through, previously when we only did the pure component, they had the opportunity to buy the internet, the TV, the cell phone individually, buy only one, buy multiple ones, or what have you. Now that we're offering bundles, there's no reason for them to buy the internet and the internet plus TV. If they're going to buy the internet and TV, then they don't need to buy these two. There's no need for them to buy internet, TV plus cell phone. You might as well just buy the full. All right. So in this scenario where we're offering these bundles, what we're going to do is assume they're only going to buy one of these. They're not going to buy multiple ones. All right. So we don't need to identify everything here. We only need to identify what we're calling the max. All right, I'm going to delete this and insert here. All right, I want to change this color, that's why. All right. Something else. All right. So what I'm doing here is assuming that the person, and this is, if you think about how individuals purchase, they look for the best deal. They look for the thing that will maximize their value, the value they perceive receiving based off of the price they're paying. All right. So they're going to look for, quote unquote, the best deal. That may not necessarily be the cheapest. It's the one that gets them the most for the money they're paying. All right. So in these, what we have are these surplus and deficit prices. And we see for this first person, based off of this dollar, they would purchase any one of these. But of course, they're going to purchase the full. Why wouldn't they purchase the full? At $1, I'm getting $13 worth of value that I'm not paying for. Why would I not get the full? If I'm paying $1, yeah, I'll pay $1 for the full and get everything because I'm enjoying the full benefit. All right, so that's how they would make this decision. So we're assuming that that is the case. All right, so what I need to identify is, what is the max? Where is the max value that is being acquired by the customer? All right, where is the surplus, the maximum surplus? All right. So equals, we're going to use the max formula here, and we just want a max for this row. In other words, identify the max. All right, so the maximum price is this $13. Let's do the next one and see what their maximum. I'm sure for each one of these, it's going to be the full because it's $1, you're getting everything, and the full is worth a lot more money, and we're charging $1 for everything right now. All right, so I'm going to copy this down. So now really quickly, I'm going to go back over here and change this full to $100 for the price. And you see now it is no longer the best deal, right? Now we have other things that are the best deal. If I change some other ones to, other prices, and I'm just arbitrarily putting in prices here, we can see how now in certain places the maximum benefit is being changed. So for this first person right here, their max at this point is the TV and cell at $9.50. This person's maximum is $43 for the TV and the internet. All right. So now we've identified which product they would go after in terms of maximum, but we need to identify what is the particular offering. All right, we're doing it in our mind, saying, oh, it's 43, that's the maximum, 43, oh, it's internet TV, but we need to help Excel figure out what this is as well. So the way we do this is through a match function. And what a match function does is that it matches, or it tells us, hey, based on some criteria, give me the column in an array. So for this first one, we want to look up what value. We want to look up this max value, comma, in what array. So in this array of data for this person, comma, and we want an exact match. So we want 0 for an exact match. All right, this is not $1. Just automatically does that as the formula, just adjust over. All right, so what this is saying is that in this array, Excel is looking up this 950 and it's giving me the column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's in the 6th column. So I know that the max is the 6th column. All right. What this is going to help me do is, now that I can use this as my identifier, I can come back over here and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and pull in the price for the TV and the cell. All right. So really quickly, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just so we know which price is which offering is for which price, okay? I'm going to copy this match down. So for this one, this 1, 2, 3, 4, it's working correctly. Let's go down to another one. This is 269, it's working correctly. Now, here's a situation where we have 69 and 69. What this is doing is that as this formula looks in this array to match this, when it comes up to the first match, that's what it's going to pull in. So in this case, we have both of these at $69, and it's matching this first one. I'm going to show you how we can fix that and kind of help out in this situation. But just be aware that that is a possibility that can happen. Another possibility that can happen is that when we come up with these prices for these various offerings, and again, we're going to use Solver to do this, we may come up with some values that are above what a customer is willing to pay for them. So I'm just going to put $20 in here. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20. All right. So now we see for this first person, they are not realizing any value whatsoever. All of these are negative. Thus, their max is a negative. In other words, they're no longer a customer of ours. We have priced them out of our target segment, if you will. So, you know, if we set prices at a higher price point, we're going after a different segment than this customer belongs in. Thus, we don't have a true match here because there is no offering for this person. So what we have to do is come back in here to match and say, right now it's matching just this maximum. This maximum is identifying whichever one is the max. And right now the -6 is the largest number in terms of all of these negative numbers, but it's still negative. And if this is a negative, we don't want this as a customer. So we want to zero this person out. So we're going to add an if formula into this match on the front end. So if this max value is less than 0, in other words, it's negative, give me a 0, else give me this match. All right. So what we're saying is if the maximum is 0, if the maximum is negative, give me a 0 or give me what the product category is. And it's giving me this dash. And if I were to change this to number, it would give me an actual number in there of 0. Okay. If I copy this down, now we see that in the places where there is no value actually obtained or perceived by the customer receiving in relationship to the price points we've set, it's going to be a 0. Okay, now that we have this, we can now go and figure out what is the revenue for each person. In other words, this first person is a 0. There's no revenue for them. This person, the revenue is not this $36. Remember, this $36 is simply a comparison of their reservation price and how much we're charging. We're only charging $20 right now for this full. All right. So they have a surplus of value of $36. That's what this max is. Thus, they're willing to pay this $20. So what we would make off of them is this $20. All right. So how do we tell Excel, hey, find this price point up here in this information? We do what's called a VLOOKUP. All right. Or an HLOOKUP. An HLOOKUP stands for horizontal lookup. A VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. And a horizontal lookup is for data that is in rows. It's horizontal data. And our data right now that we're pulling from is in rows. If it were in columns, we could do a VLOOKUP. But right now what we're going to be using is this data up here, which is in rows. So we're doing an HLOOKUP. An HLOOKUP simply says it's kind of similar to the match function. It's an extension of the match function. And what we're saying is we want Excel to look up some value, in this case, this match. All right. Okay, comma, where do you want me to look this match up? Well, I want you to come up here to this data array, and I'm choosing both the first row and the second row. The first row is where it's going to look, and then I want to pull in the second row here. So look in this first row. All right. I'm going to lock this in because as I move down, as I copy that formula down, I want this to stay in the same place. So I'm locking both sets of points in place. All right, comma. All right, then it says, all right, once I find this value in this table array, what row do you want me to pull in? So over here, I don't want to pull in the first row. I want to pull in the second row. So when you match the number up here, come to the second row of that and pull it in. So 2 is what I want to pull in. All right. So I'm just going to copy this down really quickly and show you something. For this first one, it's a 0, and the reason it's 0 is because we don't have a 0 up here. There is no 0 up here in our data. All right. Here, this second one, we identify this person would receive the most value from purchasing the full, which is 7. We're charging $20, so therefore $20 is the revenue that we would get here. All right. It's kind of hard to see differences. Let's put in $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7. And so now we can see this person is $4, this person is $6, this person is $2 in terms of the revenue we would make for each one of them. All right. But we do have a problem with the NA. And the problem we have with this NA, let me go back up here, change these to 20 again. So you see this total revenue, which is summing up this revenue down here. It doesn't know what to do with these errors, these non-existent, there's no information, not available. So it puts back not available in terms of what it's summing up here. So we need to do something in terms of this. There's a couple ways we can do this. We can come down here first of all and put in an if error term. If error term, what this does is it says if there's an error, then give us some value. All right. In our case, we want a 0 as our value. If there is no error, then we want you to do the lookup. All right. So you can see now it doesn't give me this error. Instead, it puts a 0 in there. In other words, we're not getting any revenue for this person. So I'm going to copy this down again. Uh-oh, something happened here. What happened? All right, let's try this one more time. Actually, let's do it this way up here. I have to think about how to do it here, but we could do it up here too. If error, this will work a little bit easier. No, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Let me think about this. I'm gonna pause this and make sure I have this correctly and show you this right. Okay, I figured out what I did wrong. So we'll come back down here. So if error, all right. So the first part, we want to calculate the value that we want to come up with. If the value of this HLOOKUP turns out to be like an NA, an error, then what we want is a 0. So it goes on the back end, all right? So there we go. So now what it's saying is if error for this HLOOKUP, then give us a 0. All right, if there's no error, it'll give us whatever the HLOOKUP is. So now I'll copy this down. There we go. Now it's working correctly. Sorry about that. All right, so now we have everything set up. We have all of our different components as well as our different bundles. We have our surplus for all of those. We've identified which one the individual would actually select. We're totaling the revenue up, and so now we can use Solver to figure out what is the optimal price points for each one and what would be the total maximum revenue acquired. All right, so I'm going into Solver. I'm still maximizing this total revenue. That's correct. Now I have to extend the cells I'm changing to bring in all 7 of the price points. I'm going to change this to make sure I'm adding in all 7 of the price points. Still, I think $200 will be okay, but let's change this just to be on the safe side to $300 and hit OK. And let's hit solve. And again, this is going to take even longer than the previous one because now we're looking at 7 price points instead of 3 price points. So I'm going to hit pause again and wait for us to come up with a solution. Okay, once again, it didn't necessarily come up with the best solution. Instead, it stopped after reaching the maximum number of iterations. I could hit continue, but I'm just going to hit stop and see what we have at this point. And look at this. There's not much difference between the bundles and the component, at least at this point. But let's go over here and see what it actually came up in terms of prices. Now this looks pretty strange, doesn't it? We have a solver price point for the internet of $259, cell phone $246, and that for those 2 individual prices is way more than a couple of these bundle prices. $70 for the full. $70 for the full is cheaper than we would offer for any one of these. All right. Again, Solver is just going through. We didn't set any kind of ceiling for these individual. I just went and did it for all of them of $300. So it's trying to optimize the prices for each one of these. And so it's going all the way up to the ceiling. But this is not feasible in terms of even coming up with this solution. This just doesn't make sense in regards to us being able to offer these. So we have to let Excel know and Solver know, look, you can't come up with prices this way. You can't come up with a price for the internet that's greater than the price for the internet plus TV or internet plus TV plus cell phone or the full. And you can't, these prices have to be smaller than these prices. And these bundle prices have to be smaller than this full price. A full price should be the largest one of all of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to establish a penalty. All right. So I'm going to put in here penalty. There's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to show you a really easy way to do penalties. All right, here, let's just do it this way. So we have internet as our first one. And then we have internet and TV. All right, then our next one is internet. And we have internet plus cell. All right, so what I need to do is make a comparison of the price points for the internet alone compared to the bundle that contains the internet. In this case, the internet and TV is one bundle. The internet and cell is one bundle. The internet and full is one bundle. Now I have to do this also for TV. So TV, then we have TV, internet plus TV. TV. Here we have cell phone and TV. Then we have TV and full. All right. So I'm going to pause and just type the rest of these in. There's no need for you to watch me do all these. Okay, so I finished typing in the rest of these, and you can see I've included not only the individual components in comparison to their bundles, but also the bundles in comparison to the full. So now what I want is a comparison. I want to say that if this internet is greater than this TV, let me know. Give me a 1. If it's not, give me a 0. So equals if, in this case, this internet price is greater than this internet and TV price, give me a 1, comma, 1, else give me a 0. All right. And we see that, in fact, this internet price of $259.40 is greater than $243.62. So I am getting a 1 here. All right. So I need to do this for each one. I'm going to show you one more, and then I'll pause this and do the rest. So if the internet price is greater than the internet and cell, which is my next one, comma, give me a 1, else give me a 0. And we see again that, in fact, this internet is greater than the offering for, oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Internet and cell. Let's look at this one again. Make sure I did this one right. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Let's make sure I did that right. So B3 is greater than, this should be E3, not F3. I'm sorry, this should be, no, it should be F3. If B3 is greater than F3, oh, that's right. What am I thinking? Okay, yeah, so 259 is greater than 186. Just had a brain freeze there for some reason. All right, let's do one more. If internet price is greater than the full, give me a 1, else give me a 0. And again, we should get a 1. Okay, I'm going to pause and do the rest of these. All right, so I've completed my formulas comparing my components to the bundles and then my bundles to each other. And you see there are some places where the price for something that should be priced at a lower price than the bundle is in fact at a higher price. I also I moved this over, my pricing and all that, just so to make it a little bit easier to kind of compare some of these. So TV, if we compare TV price to the internet TV bundle, the TV price is $35, the internet TV price is $243. So we don't have anything there. All right, so now what I want to do is, and there are multiple ways you could do this. This is the simplest way, and it gets the job done. All right, so what I'm going to do is just sum up the number of penalties I have. And I have 8 penalties. And what I'm going to do is I am going to discount my total revenue by these 8 penalties. And I'm just going to do it by multiplying this 8 times $500. So 8 times 500 is a huge penalty. All right. And that lets solver know you can't have these penalties. You can't do this. All right. So I'm going up here to the revenue. I'm just going to add this on the back end of my sum of revenue. I'm going to say minus this 8 down here times 500. In other words, every time there's this penalty, multiply times 500, you subtract that from the revenue. All right. And you see now that with the way it's pricing, I have a negative $640, all right, because of these penalties. So what's going to happen now is that Solver is going to have to take into consideration this penalty as it's trying to figure out different price points. So I'm going to go back into Solver. We don't have to change anything in Solver. Everything should remain the same, and I am going to hit Solve again. And once again, I'm going to hit pause and let this come up with the solution, and then I'll come back to you. All right, so again, I'm hitting stop, and we've come up with price points that seem to be more reasonable in terms of comparing them to each other. And we have total revenue obtained at these price points of $2,933. Now, if you compare this to the components, it looks like we actually make a little bit more money by simply offering the components individually. So at least at these price points, or the optimal price points that we've come up with, you would say, okay, hey, why should we offer the bundles? Well, there may be some good reasons to offer the bundles, even though the total revenue is less than we might be able to get if we offer just the components. And one of the reasons is just convenience. Simply offering these as a bundle might be a little bit more convenient in terms of services, in terms of maybe customers understanding packages or understanding these together. It could simply be a way to maybe cross-sell a little bit better. It also could be that this is what the competition does, and so this is what they expect. This is what they would expect a cable company to do, something like that. So regardless, we have these various ones, and what we can do is say, okay, we did an analytics procedure of bundle pricing to determine what, if any, bundles we should offer and at what prices. One of the things that I'm going to do really quickly is put in here frequency of the different offerings and see what we have. Okay, so what I'm going to do really quickly, this just gives you more information in terms of reporting. I'm going to do the number purchase for each one of these, or the number that of no purchases. So this is number purchase, this is no purchase. In other words, they didn't purchase anything, or the internet, TV. I'm going to give you a count, and then I'm going to give you the revenue that was obtained. So I'm going to show you how to do this. This is simply going to be a count function, but it's going to be a count if function. So count if, and it asks what range do you want me to count. So I want the match function, the match column, because this is where it tells us which one they actually are going after. And so if this range is a 0, then count for me, right? Because that means there was no purchases. So 23 of our individuals didn't make a purchase. All right, they didn't receive any value at these particular price points. All right, I'm going to just copy this down, but also let me show you over here, we will multiply this times the price. In this case, there is no price, so it would be equals this times 0 for no price. But here for the internet, let me just do this one really quickly so I can show you. If the range, which is the same, all right, is 1 in this case, because the internet is 1, then count. If not, it won't count it. So it looks like no one actually purchased the internet. All right. And what I want to do here is equals this times the price of the internet, which is 0. Okay, so I'm going to do this really quickly all the way down, and then we'll come back. All right, so I've completed this little chart here, and we could see how many no purchases there were and how many people purchased the different offerings. The internet, no one purchased that. TV, 22 individuals purchased that for a total revenue of $770 and so forth. You see there are several one of these that have zero or very low number of people actually purchasing at this particular price. So only one person purchased the full. All right. So what this would tell me is that I need to go back and do some additional analysis here. What I might do is take out the internet, take out the cell phone, maybe even take out this internet TV bundle. I leave this internet cell in for now, leave the full in for now, and then rerun this calculation and see if it improves anything. We might actually get additional purchases by doing it that way, and we might even improve our total revenue. But this is how you would do bundle pricing in terms of a mixed bundle offering and in comparison to the component prices. Okay, I'm going to show you another example of doing the bundle really quickly in a comparison of the component versus the pure. In this data set, it says below is the data regarding components of a spa. Management is considered bundling components into various packages. They are asking for you to help them determine if they should only offer a bundle deal, a mixed bundle or component, or only the components. Survey of 100 respondents representing the 4 primary segments of the spa gathered information regarding average reservation prices of each segment for each component offering. Additional information regarding the cost of each component is also provided. Management would like your recommendation. So one, we have cost provided here, and let me put costs in here. We have cost provided here. So that means we could do a profit analysis in this case. And we have these 4 different segments, and it's 100 respondents. And I'm going to assume, since there's 4 segments, that it's equally distributed across the 4 segments, and it's 25 in each. So 25 of each one of these. All right. So in order to do a profit, remember we need the unit price, unit cost. Then we can come up with unit contribution or unit profit, demand, and based on demand we can come up with the profit and total profit. All right. So again, I'm starting with $1 for my 2 price points. And I'm going to do this first for a component. I'm just going to look at these individually before I try to do them together. The cost, well, what's the cost? My cost is, for the massage, is $66. And let's change this. Let's format these so we know those are dollars. All right, this equals $56. We know the contribution or unit profit is the price minus the cost. And right now, since we're only charging $1 for the massage and it costs us $66, we're losing money. Copy this. So now, how do we come up with the demand? Well, if you remember, this is the reservation price up here for each one of these offerings for the various segments. If the price is less than or equal to their reservation price, we would assume they'll purchase it. So what we're going to say down here is if the price here, and I'm going to lock this in place, at least for the row. I want to move over, copy it over. So if this is less than or equal to whatever their reservation price is, comma, give me 25. In other words, I'm assuming all of the 25 people will purchase this. Else give me 0. All right, let me hit enter. So right now the reservation price is at $1, and of course all 25 of this first segment will purchase. But if I go up to 155, then no one is going to purchase from this first segment because it's above their reservation price. Okay? Now, that's only for this first segment. I need to do this for each of the remaining segments. So I'm going to add a plus in here and do the same thing. If this reservation price, again, lock that in terms of the row, is less than or equal to the second segment's reservation price, then give me 25, else give me 0. All right. So now it's at 50 because both of these segments would pay $1, but if I were to raise this to 160, then we see it's only 25 people because this first segment is not willing to pay 160 for a massage, but the second group is. All right. So now I have to do this for the remaining 4 groups, and I'm going to hit pause and do this real quick. Okay, so I've done this for all 4 groups, and you see at $1, all 4 groups, of course, are going to pay for the massage. So we have 100, a demand of 100. So all 4 groups of 25 individuals are going to buy the massage. All right. And you can see up here that I've completed the formula up here. If I change this now to 130, only 75 are willing to do it because this third group is not willing to pay more than 129.60 for it. If I were to change this to 174, then only this second group is willing to pay that much for a massage. So only the 25 in this group will pay, the other 75 will not. All right, so I'm going to copy this across. If I put my formulas in here correctly, it should work. It looks like it is working. Let's just test it. If I change this to $70, we have 75 because the second group is not willing to pay $70 for a massage. If I change this to 140, we have 50 because this second group nor the fourth group is willing to pay $140 for it. Only the first and the third group is willing to pay. So it looks like this is working correctly in terms of anticipating the demand based off of particular prices. I'm going to change this back to $1 right now. Now I can calculate my profit. And if you remember, profit is simply demand times your contribution. So demand times contribution. And right now it's negative because that's just where we are in terms of our price point. And now I need to do overall profit. So equals sum of these two. And now I have my overall profit. So now I can go into Solver and solve for the maximum profit at particular optimal price points. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go into Data, Solver. Let's reset all of this. And first thing is I want to maximize the total profit. And I want to change these 2 cells here. Again, if we use evolutionary, we have to put in constraints. So I'm going to add a constraint in terms of my price points, and I want them to be less than or equal to, let's say, looks like 200 should work. All right, and hit solve. And Solver converges really quickly because it's pretty simple. Example here. Doesn't look like it did. Let's see what happened. I'm not sure what happened here. Somehow, I accidentally put the wrong, I think I put the wrong thing in solver because it put $200 down here. So let me change this formula back. Demand times contribution. All right, let's try this again. Sorry about that. What did I put in here in terms of my cells? It should be these up here. And I need to change this. Change. It should be my price, not my profit down here, my price up there. Okay. Let's try this again and hit solve. All right, so Sauer came up with the solution, and it looks like we should sell our, if we were to do these as individuals, we should sell our massages at $129.60, and we should sell our facials at $132, and that would give us an overall profit of $12,060. And so I'm going to put down here component. Again, I'm going to do a comparison, 1260, all right. All right. So now what I want to do is create a package or a bundle these together and do a comparison. So I'm just going to put full up here, and we're going to assume that the cost of the package is going to be the same as the cost of the individuals. So this plus this. And in terms of our reservation price, again, we're going to assume that the reservation price is going to be the sum of the parts. All right, so we'll copy that down again. You could discount this if you wanted to, but we're not going to do that. All right, I'm going to copy this over here, all right, because a lot of this information is going to be similar. I'm going to change these back to $1. I always like to start at $1. The cost is $122 for the full, and so we have our contribution. All right, now, in this circumstance, we are going to assume that they're only going to choose one. They're either going to choose the massage or the facial or the full. There's no need for them to choose the massage and the facial because they could choose the full. There's no need for them to choose the full plus one of these two because they're included in the full. So they will only choose one. So in terms of our demand, we're not going to have demand that is going to be demand across all of these. It's not going to be multiple purchases across all of these. Okay, so we have to change this a little bit. What we're going to have to do is, again, find the max. All right, which one are they going to select? And they're going to select the one that is going to give them the best benefit. Before we can select the max, though, we do need to do their reservation price, all right? A surplus of their reservation price, or surplus or deficit of the reservation price. So I'm just going to type in here, surplus deficit, all right? Okay, and again, we're taking their reservation price minus the price that we're going to charge for this. I'm going to lock this in place so that as I copy across or go down, I want the row, I want the column to change, but I don't want the row to change, all right? So I'm copying this across. I'm doing this pretty quickly because I think by now you know what you need to do on these. All right, so now we have our reservation prices for all of these based on these various price points. Now I can do the max. And again, the max is simply which one are they going to choose equals max of this. All right. I can do the match for their choice. So match this. To this over here. And we see that in each one of these right now, they're all going to choose the third one. All right. But if I were to change this to, let's say, 300, now you see there are some that will choose a different one. So some will choose 2, some will choose 3, and so forth. So now I can come back down here to the demand based off of the match and determine how many people would purchase. So if this segment selects 2, then 25 people would buy the facial. All right, so here what we want to say is equals if, all right, this right here equals 1, give us 25, else give us 0. All right, in other words, if this segment chooses 1 for the massage is the one they want to choose, then we would have 25 people purchasing massage down here. All right, I have to do the same thing for the next one. If, so I'm adding these together, if this segment chooses 1, then give me 25, else give me 0. All right, I'm going to lock these in place because I'm going to copy this over to the next 2 as well. All right, I have to do this for all 4 segments. I'm going to pause this and finish this. Okay, so I've completed this formula here, and I've put the formula here so you could see exactly what I did. All right, so basically, if this first segment chooses a 1, right, that means if this match is a 1, then I want 25. That means all 25 selected 1, plus do the same thing for the second segment. So if the second segment matches for a 1, that means they select the massage, give me another 25, plus the next group and the next group. In this case, no one has selected to choose the massage. They've selected to either do the facial or the full. So we don't have anybody selecting 1. That means we have a 0 in terms of demand. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now copy this over to these other groups, but I need to change this criteria from a 1 to a 2 for the facial and then to a 3 for the full. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so I've copied the information over to the other 2 groups, and you see that we have 50 people that are willing to buy the facial at $1. And that's the first group and the third group. So 25 in each group are selecting that. Thus, we have 50. And it's surprising that even at $1 for the facial, you still have people that are willing to pay the $300 for the full. And these are I just put in that 300. If you remember, it's just arbitrary numbers I put in. But we have the second and the fourth group that are willing to pay the $300 for the full. I guess they really want the massage too, for 50. So if we were to change this, again, I'm just throwing in numbers here. So if I were to change this to 145, then 100% of the people are choosing the full over the rest of them. Okay, so we have a problem here. The problem we have here is that if you remember, we have these negatives where we're not creating any value right now at our price points for any of these groups. Well, actually we are. So what's happening here? Oh, I know. For this match, we have to put in a 0 for exact match. That's what we have to do. There we go. Now, sorry about that. So we put in a 0, and now it's matching the way it's supposed to match. All right, so at $1 and $145 for the facial and $300, people are willing to do the massage. So if we change this one now to, let's say, $140, looks like we have people across the other two. If we change this one to $250, looks like some people choose the massage, some people choose the full. All right, we could play around with this and try to figure out what is the best price point. Or we could allow Solver to do it and figure out the maximum profit. Again, we could do profit because we have the cost across all of our offerings. Thus, we can come up with a profit. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into Solver. Our total profit is what we want to maximize. That doesn't change. We are changing our variables to all three of our prices, and we need to change this to include the bundle price as well. Hit OK, and then I'm just going to hit solve. I'm going to hit pause again and let this run. Okay, so it looks like it came up with a solution. And in this case, looks like we have some people that would purchase the full, some people that would purchase one, some people that would purchase two, some people that would purchase three. And it looks like, okay, so we did not include all of these in our total sum. So we need to go back and do this again. Sorry about that. Let's do this data solver one more time, including all three of our profit offerings. All right, one of the things I wanted to show you that happened, I ran Solver and I forgot to change because we have this full. Originally, our constraints in our Solver was set at 200. So I changed that to 500 and I reran Solver and it came up with this solution. And the reason it came up with this solution is because, remember, here I have to identify just the max. And even if that max is negative, it's still the max. And originally I had this to just match where, identify where that max was. But if it's a negative, we don't want to match. We want 0. So I went back into this match function and put the if statement on the front end. So if this is negative, give me a 0, else give me the match. So now it won't give me a match for anything. And I forgot to mention that before. I forgot to put that in. And so it came up with this crazy solution because, it couldn't figure out any other way to get beyond this pricing to maximize profit. But anyway, I'm going to rerun Solver now. I just wanted to show that to you and explain to you what I had to do. All right, so going back into Solver, I'm going to rerun it, and I'm going to hit pause. Okay, so Solver came up with the solution, and let's kind of look at the solution and see where we're at right now. So the solution right now gives us a little bit better profit than we got with the components, which is good. But we do see that the facial is way above what we should be charging for a facial compared to the full. So it would be good for us to go back in here and actually do a penalty in terms of this and force Solver to come up with a price point that's below the full for the facial. So we could do that, but I'm not going to worry about it. You have that in the other video, so you can see how to do that. But you can see right now as is, The total profit, if we were to have these as our price points, would be $14,069.67, and that's based off of setting a unit price point of $174 for the massage, some ridiculous price for the facial, and we need to come down on that. Even if we charge $190, that would be better. And $273.60 here. I'm going to change this to $190, and I'm going to show you it's not going to make a difference, because even at $190, this is above what anybody is willing to pay for the facial. And it's setting a price point above this because really what it's doing is it's trying to push people to purchase the full, with anticipation that all of these people will purchase the full anyway. All right. If we look over here, there's only one group that is not interested in the facial or the full. They would only do the massage, and that's this second segment right here. All right. And all the rest of them would do the full. So that's what you would do in your write-up, is you would just indicate what you did. So a bundle pricing analysis was done in order to determine whether or not the offerings of a spa should be bundled. We compared individual component pricing to that of a mixed bundle pricing. The component pricing, and I don't remember what the prices were for each one of those. It would be good to have that down here. The component pricing identified a profitability of $12,060 with price points of whatever they were when we did that. In comparison, a mixed bundle gives us a maximum profit of $14,070 with these price points for massage, facial, and the full. We recommend offering the bundle along with the facials, along with the individual offerings, and we assume that we will have massages and full and no just separate facials. You're still going to do the facials because they're part of the full. So that would be your write-up. All right, so that's it as far as looking at bundle prices and doing a comparison. Again, my name is Eric Riney from Webster University. You can contact me at my email information. You can also contact me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and certainly you can find me on YouTube. Join me for another one of my marketing analytics videos. There are more to come. And if you like this one, hit the like button, and you can also join my page. Take care, and I'll see you soon.